You know, we often hear about these artists who just love the spotlight, right? They're all over the place, sharing every little detail of their lives and their work. But have you ever thought about the ones who, well, they kind of do the opposite?
You mean the artists who seem to deliberately keep a low profile?
Exactly. It's like their work becomes even more sought after because it's so rare. It's like a hidden treasure almost.
Yeah, I get it. It definitely creates a sense of mystery.
Totally. And there's this artist, Bob Camblin, who fits that description perfectly. His pieces are incredibly valuable, some even going for like ridiculously high prices. But he himself remains this elusive figure, like a puzzle we need to solve.
His work is in high demand, but rarely available. It really sparks that collector's instinct, doesn't it?
It does, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. We've gathered a ton of material, a really diverse collection of stuff to try and understand this guy, Bob Camblin.
Sounds intriguing. What kind of material are we talking about?
Oh, we have some of his personal quotes, which are really insightful. Like, you can get a glimpse into his thinking. And we have biographical details, tracing his life and career.
Okay, so we're getting a more complete picture. Not just the art itself, but the man behind it.
Exactly. Plus, we have some critical reviews of books that feature his art, so we'll get some outside perspective.
A well-rounded approach. Nice.
And get this, we even have this deep analysis of one of his etchings. It's called For Nancy. I think it'll give us a good focal point.
So it's a multifaceted look at Bob Camblin. It should be fascinating.
It is. So our goal today, really our mission with this deep dive, is to pull out the key elements of his artistic philosophy. Like, how did he view art? What were his core beliefs about life? And what themes kept popping up in his work? We want to give you, the listener, a shortcut to understanding this guy.
I'm in.
Perfect. So, to kick things off, Camblin has been described as iconoclastic and enigmatic. What does that tell us about him as an artist?
Well, iconoclastic usually means someone who challenges traditions and conventions. And enigmatic suggests someone who's a bit mysterious, hard to figure out. So right off the bat, we know he's likely not going to be your average run-of-the-mill artist.
Right. He definitely seems to be someone who charted his own course. And that's reflected in how highly sought after his work is. Even though it's rarely available, it often sells for really high prices, which further adds to his mystique, I think.
Yeah, scarcity definitely drives up demand. And when you combine that with his unconventional style, it's a recipe for a uh, pretty sought-after artist.
Definitely. So let's take a look at his background a bit. Born in 1928, Camblin's journey began at the Kansas City Art Institute. That's where he first started to develop his artistic skills.
Okay, so a Midwesterner originally.
Right. But then a really pivotal moment was his Fulbright scholarship to Italy.
The Fulbright. A fantastic opportunity for any artist.
Imagine him, this young artist, soaking up the rich art history of Europe. That must have been a huge influence on his work.
Absolutely. Italy's art scene, especially the Renaissance masters, their impact can be profound. It can totally reshape your understanding of art and your approach to it.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And from there, Camblin went on to teach at a bunch of different universities, like the Ringling School of Art, the University of Illinois, the University of Detroit, even Rice University. He clearly wasn't afraid of trying new things.
So pretty impressive academic career, too,
Yeah,
engaging with the art world from different angles.
definitely. But then in 1976, he makes this radical decision. He leaves the world of academia and becomes a nomadic artist. It's almost like he needed to break free from any kind of structure or constraint.
That's quite a shift, to give up a stable career and embrace a life of uncertainty for the sake of art. It suggests a deep commitment, maybe even a need, to fully immerse himself in his craft.
It makes you think about like, what would it take for you to make such a drastic change? What are the things you'd be willing to leave behind to chase your passions?
Yeah, it's a good question to ponder.
So, Camblin starts traveling all over the place: Italy, France, Ireland, Mexico, even the South Pacific. He really absorbs these different cultures and environments, which must have found their way into his work somehow.
Oh, absolutely. Travel is a huge source of inspiration for many artists. Experiencing new landscapes, new ways of life, it can really broaden your perspectives and spark new creative directions.
Yeah. Now, what we're going to focus on in this deep dive are these incredible drawings and writings he made between 1950 and 1974.
Okay, I'm curious, what's so special about these particular works?
Well, apparently they were never meant to be seen by the public. It's like we're getting a glimpse into his private world, his most personal thoughts and artistic explorations.
So it's a more raw and unfiltered look at his creative process. That's exciting.
It is. So let's start by looking at some of his quotes because they really give you a sense of his core beliefs and philosophies. For example, he once wrote, "Fortunately, some things remain forever or another 10 years perhaps."
Hmm. That's interesting. It has a sort of double meaning, doesn't it? Like he acknowledges the fleeting nature of life, but with a touch of humor.
Yeah, it's like he's both accepting and a little bit cheeky about it.
Right. It makes you think about what things in your life you might cling to, hoping they'll last forever, even though deep down you know everything changes.
Exactly. And Camblin also seems to draw connections between seemingly unrelated fields like science and magic, philosophy and art. He wrote, "Look into the atom, you get what you need. Look into magic, and you get what you need. Philosophy and art are in both." What do you make of that?
It sounds like he sees a kind of underlying unity in everything. Like whether you're exploring the scientific world or the more mystical realm, there are fundamental truths to be found that could inform both philosophy and art.
Yeah. And he suggests that to truly appreciate these truths, to see the wonders in both science and magic, we need to strive for what he called a perfectly average view.
A perfectly average view. Now, that's an interesting concept. It suggests that extremes can cloud our judgment, and it's by finding this middle ground, this balance, that we can truly appreciate the extraordinary.
Yeah, it's like finding that sweet spot where you're open to everything, not swayed by biases or preconceived notions.
Right. It makes you consider your own perspectives. Are you too stuck in one way of seeing things? Maybe stepping back and finding that perfectly average view could reveal some hidden truths.
It's a good reminder for all of us, I think. Another quote that stands out to me is, "The sixth sense is to be, without a doubt, senza dubio, no doubt."
Ah, so he's talking about intuition, that gut feeling that tells you something is true, even if you can't explain it logically. And it sounds like he places a high value on that. Like, don't question it, trust it.
Yeah. There's also this quote that's just so beautifully evocative. "Bright day, and I soar, how cruel that my soul is attached to this earth, and yet."
That one really resonates with me. It speaks to that longing we all have for something more, something beyond the physical limitations of our existence.
Yeah.
That feeling of being both connected to this world and yearning for something beyond it.
It's powerful, and there's a definite emphasis on self-honesty in his words. He says, "I cannot tell a lie to myself for very long. Find something in nature that completes you and then surrender."
There's a lot packed into that statement. The
Yeah.
idea that true creativity and personal growth require honesty with yourself
Hmm.
and that connection to nature, finding that thing that makes you feel whole, and then having the courage to let go, to surrender to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, it's really profound. Now, here's a more practical quote, almost like a formula for living. "The light is all you need. The end is to evolve by doing the best you can. The means is to amplify what you're doing and believe."
It's a message of self-reliance and continuous improvement, isn't it? Trust your inner guidance, strive to be better, and believe in the power of your actions.
Right. And it highlights the importance of aligning your beliefs with your actions. If you believe in what you're doing, it amplifies your efforts.
Absolutely. Your beliefs can fuel your success or, conversely, hold you back.
He also presents this series of concepts, almost like a recipe for inner peace or artistic creation. In the balance, patience, and yet, freedom again, and yet, in silence, followed by the reality can be maintained.
It's like he's laying out the essential conditions for true understanding or creative expression. Balance, patience, freedom, silence. These are all qualities that allow us to connect with something deeper, to tap into a different level of awareness.
And the repetition of "and yet," it suggests that these aren't fixed states, but rather an ongoing process, a constant interplay between these different elements.
Right. It's not about achieving a perfect balance and then you're done. It's about the constant striving, the continuous adjustment and readjustment to maintain that harmony.
Exactly. And speaking of art, Camlin makes this observation about the evolving nature of art itself. Art is not just images. Art for art's sake has become art for life's sake, or art for my sake, or art for survival's sake.
It's a recognition that the purpose of art is not static. It changes with the times, and it's different for each individual artist. For some, it's about expressing their inner world. For others, it's about engaging with social issues or even just making a living.
Right, it's not confined to one definition or purpose.
Mm.
And then there's this quote that feels very much like advice on breaking free from limiting thought patterns. "Step off the train of thought, to find the power that is no power, to do the work that is not work, to laugh the true laugh, bending is not bowing."
There's so much wisdom in that one statement. Stepping off the train of thought suggests disrupting our usual patterns of thinking, those habitual thought loops that often keep us stuck.
Yeah, it's about accessing a different kind of power, one that isn't about force or control, but rather about letting go and allowing things to unfold naturally.
Right. And that work that is not work image, it speaks to a state of flow, where action comes effortlessly, almost without conscious effort.
And then bending is not bowing suggests resilience, the ability to adapt without compromising your integrity.
It's like a reminder to stay true to yourself while navigating the challenges of life.
Exactly. Camblin also offers this beautiful observation, almost like a haiku, balancing and being for and against. We missed the clouds, and for a moment regretted it. Then, as lightning, the mind ripped out in flashes of variations to reach the still pond.
Wow, that's powerful imagery. It captures that moment when you're so caught up in your own internal conflicts that you miss the beauty of the world around you. And then suddenly, there's a shift in perspective, a flash of insight that brings clarity and peace.
It's like a lightning bolt illuminating the path to understanding, and then he gives us very direct instruction. When you think, don't act. When you act, don't think.
That's a challenge. It goes against our natural inclination to overthink everything, doesn't it?
It does, but I think it highlights the importance of trusting our instincts, of acting decisively without letting our doubts or anxieties paralyze us.
Right. Sometimes overthinking can lead to inaction or missed opportunities.
Exactly. And then there are these little snippets of everyday life that Camblin captures that reveal something deeper about human nature, like this one. We talked of changing the world. He listened, then took 21 cents from his coin purse to pay for his coffee and left.
Yes. The contrast between lofty ideals and the mundane reality of daily life. It's a reminder that even those who dream big still have to navigate the practicalities of existence.
Yeah, it's a humorous but also insightful observation. Camlin's also deeply attuned to nature, and he expresses that beautifully in this quote. The cosmos waves as me with tree leaves, sun-heated air moves across the electrons of my skin. Sunlight reflects those greens. First, white, then yellow-green, and in deep shadows blue.
That's a gorgeous description. It shows a real appreciation for the interconnectedness of everything, from the vastness of the cosmos to the tiniest details of nature. And it encourages us to pay attention to those subtle shifts in color, those minute sensations that we often overlook.
Exactly. And sometimes the simplest things offer the most profound insights. Like when he writes, "Much better than arguing is to look at my watercolor palette."
It's a beautiful way of saying that sometimes engaging with beauty, with the creative process, is more fulfilling than getting caught up in conflict or disagreement.
Right. And here's a quote that speaks to the human search for meaning, even when we don't know what we're looking for. The gate stays open, the fence is broken. He keeps searching, but does not know the size of his quarry. Yet he has faith. He looks in all directions. If he could only see all around, all at once.
It's like a metaphor for the human condition, isn't it? We're constantly searching for something, but we often don't know what it is or how to find it, and yet we keep looking, driven by faith or hope, or maybe just a deep-seated curiosity.
Exactly. It's that relentless pursuit of understanding, that desire to make sense of the world around us, even when it feels elusive.
Right, and it highlights the limitations of our perception.
Yeah.
We can only see so much at once, which makes the search all the more challenging.
Camblin also draws a distinction between revolution and evolution. Revolution leads to changes. Evolution is change. The first will be man's misunderstanding. The second is understanding. The balance will be found in our minds. Individually now, perhaps collectively later.
It suggests that true progress comes from a gradual shift in understanding, a process of evolution, rather than a sudden and often disruptive upheaval.
Yeah, it's about changing our minds, our perspectives, rather than just changing the external world. And he emphasizes that this transformation happens individually first, and then maybe collectively later on.
Right. It starts with each of us examining our own beliefs and biases, and then hopefully those individual changes will ripple outwards and create a more positive collective shift.
Exactly. Now here's a quote that's so simple but so true. You never miss the water until the wells run dry. It's a reminder to appreciate what we have before it's gone.
We often take things for granted until we lose them. This quote is a powerful nudge to cultivate gratitude for the things we have in our lives.
And here's another beautiful observation that captures a moment of shared awareness. Not a leaf moves, and yet we all feel the cool breeze.
It speaks to a heightened sensitivity to our environment, to those subtle changes that often go unnoticed. And it highlights the interconnectedness of everything, how we're all affected by these invisible forces, even if we're not consciously aware of them.
Right. And then Camblin makes this bold statement about the role of the artist. The artist today is the only free agent. He is not committed except so much as he desires it.
It's a declaration of artistic autonomy, isn't it? The artist is free from external constraints, answerable only to their own creative vision. It's a powerful statement about the importance of self-determination and following your own path.
And he touches on the power of belief. Religion, belief. If I believe in ghosts, I don't have to see one. If I believe it's art, then it is. If I believe that I am completely running, then I can't be convinced I'm not.
This speaks to the subjective nature of reality, how our beliefs shape our perceptions and experiences. If we believe something strongly enough, it becomes our truth, regardless of external evidence.
Yeah, it's a reminder that our minds are incredibly powerful in shaping our realities, and that belief itself can be a creative force.
Absolutely. It's like the foundation upon which we build our understanding of ourselves and the world.
And Camblin further explores the nature of belief, stating, believing and knowing are different. Most people practice a belief or a religion they were raised in. Mystics know something else. They remain connected to a faith or abandon it, but they have been somewhere and logic won't make the trip. One must look for the balance of intuition and logic.
He's distinguishing between inherited beliefs and a more direct experiential form of knowing. The mystics he speaks of have had a glimpse of something beyond the realm of logic, something that can't be explained or understood through rational thought alone.
It suggests there's a different kind of knowing, one that comes from direct experience, from intuition and inner exploration, and that true understanding requires a balance between logic and intuition.
Right. It's not about rejecting logic altogether, but rather about recognizing its limitations and embracing other ways of knowing.
Exactly. And then there's this thought-provoking statement. When understood, all truth is funny.
It's a paradoxical statement that suggests a deeper understanding of reality reveals its inherent absurdity or irony. Like once you see through the illusion, you can't help but laugh.
Yeah, it's like a cosmic joke that we only get once we reach a certain level of awareness. And then he gives this practical advice for navigating the creative process. Don't let the demon of being right get in. Flow and think of what you are doing, not what you plan to do. Step off the train of thought.
Again, he emphasizes the importance of letting go of control, of being present in the moment, rather than fixated on outcomes or the need to be right. That's where true creativity flows.
It's about surrendering to the process, trusting your instincts, and allowing yourself to be surprised by what emerges.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown and allowing yourself to make mistakes along the way.
Finally, he touches on the challenges of being an artist in a culture obsessed with novelty. Just as you arrive at a technique that allows you to do the concepts that interest you, you become aware that in this disposable art culture, that the novelty is part of the looking, so ideas can change. But the viewer demands new techniques from the artist if he is watching him for a period of time. The artist is caught in a dilemma the technique allows him to produce, but the society is quickly bored if they aren't new. Stay anonymous, and you are free, at least form friends.
That's a really insightful commentary on the pressures artists face in a world that often values novelty over substance. It's like he's saying, if you want true creative freedom, stay under the radar, avoid the hype, and just focus on the work.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance between expressing yourself authentically and navigating the demands of the art market. It's a dilemma that many artists struggle with.
Absolutely. And his suggestion of anonymity as a path to freedom is a really interesting perspective. It makes you think about how the pursuit of recognition can sometimes stifle creativity.
It does. Okay, so we've explored a lot of Camblin's inner world through his quotes. Now let's shift gears and look at some of the key themes in his artistic evolution based on what we know about his life and career.
Sounds good. It's always
Yeah.
helpful to have some context, to understand how an artist's life experiences shape their work.
Right. So let's start with his early influences. His parents were both artists, which probably had a huge impact on him. And he grew up in Ponca City, Oklahoma, which, has its own unique cultural landscape.
Okay, so a creative upbringing and a childhood steeped in Americana. I'm curious, what other influences did he have?
Well, get this. He was drawn to The Wizard of Oz, haiku poetry, the writings of Emerson, and even the I Ching. It's a pretty eclectic mix.
Wow, that's a fascinating blend of influences. It suggests a mind that was open to different perspectives, different ways of seeing the world.
Yeah, it definitely points to an inquisitive and open mind. And then there's his military service, which, is a formative experience for anyone. He ended up sketching the California coastline during that time.
It's interesting how even experiences that seem unrelated to art can still inform an artist's vision. Maybe that experience with the vastness of the ocean or the stark beauty of the coastline found its way into his later work.
Yeah, you never know how these experiences will manifest themselves. And of course, there's that pivotal moment, his Fulbright scholarship to Italy.
Right. That was a major turning point for him, wasn't it?
It was. He was particularly moved by the Uffizi Gallery with all those Renaissance masterpieces. And then there were the Catacombe dei Cappuccini, which are these underground tunnels filled with, well, mummies.
Wow, and that's a pretty stark contrast. The beauty and grandeur of Renaissance art on one hand, and the macabre reality of death on the other.
Exactly. It's like he was exposed to the full spectrum of human experience in a very short period of time. And that must have had a profound impact on his artistic sensibilities.
Absolutely. It makes you think about how those contrasting experiences might have shaped his visual language, the themes he explored in his work.
Right. And his biography specifically mentions connections between his artwork and Botticelli's The Birth of Venus and Primavera. It's like he was actively engaging with these classical themes, reinterpreting them in his own way.
It shows a deep appreciation for art history, but also a willingness to make it his own, to put his own spin on it.
Yeah, he wasn't just copying the masters, he was having a dialogue with them, adding his own unique perspective.
Right. It's like he's building on the foundation of those who came before him,
Yeah.
but creating something entirely new in the process.
Now, before he fully dedicated himself to art, he had this interesting period where he worked as a map maker. And then he transitioned into teaching. It's like he was exploring different paths before finding his true calling.
It's a common experience for artists, isn't it? To have to balance their creative passions with the practicalities of life. And sometimes those seemingly unrelated experiences can actually inform their art in unexpected ways.
Yeah, it's all part of the journey, right? And then there's his move to Houston, which seems to have been a bit of a mixed bag for him.
Oh, how so?
Well, he seems to have had some conflicted feelings about the art world and the whole idea of painting for money. He even declined payment for his work sometimes. It suggests a real aversion to the commercial aspects of art.
It's like he was driven by a deeper purpose, something beyond financial gain. Makes you wonder what his motivations were, what he's trying to achieve with his art.
It's definitely something we'll keep exploring as we go deeper. Now, despite his desire to stay out of the spotlight, Camblin was actually very collaborative. He formed this group called B&E Productions with Earl Staley and Joe Tate.
So, a bit of a contradiction there. He shuns the limelight, but he's also drawn to working with others.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And they stage these really unconventional shows like the tattoo show and the camping show. It suggests a desire to push boundaries, to challenge the traditional way of presenting art.
Absolutely. It's like he was trying to break down the barriers between art and everyday life to make art more accessible and engaging for everyone.
Right. He wanted to create experiences, not just objects to be observed. And throughout his career, he aimed to keep his approach to art simple, guided by what he called faith and good work. And he often used the symbol of water jars in his paintings.
Water jars, what was the significance of that?
Well, they represented this idea of transforming obstacles into opportunities for growth. It's like turning stumbling blocks into stepping stones.
Ah, that's a beautiful metaphor. It
Yeah.
suggests a resilience and ability to find meaning and purpose, even in the face of challenges.
Exactly. And then there's his Scarecrow series, which is particularly intriguing. It seems to have multiple layers of meaning, drawing inspiration from everything from Germanic spring rituals to the interplay between words and visual experience in art.
Scarecrows. That's an interesting choice of subject matter. What do you think he was trying to convey with those?
Well, some interpret them as representing metamorphosis, transformation, kind of like the water jars. Others see them as embodying this tension between words and visual language in art.
Okay, so they're open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Okay, they're inviting the viewer to engage with them on multiple levels.
Right. And Camblin even built these deliberate ambiguities into his Scarecrow pieces, what he called data problems, which were basically little traps for the viewer intended to challenge their assumptions.
Data problems. That's an interesting way of putting it. It's like he wanted to disrupt the viewer's expectations, to make them think more critically about what they were seeing.
Exactly. Now, looking at his artistic periods, he went through a pretty remarkable evolution, starting with early works focused on social protest.
So, a socially conscious artist in his early years. It's interesting how artists often reflect the social and political climate of their time.
Yeah, and from there he experimented with different styles, combining social realism with non-objectivity, He was clearly influenced by Italian art after his Fulbright. And then there's his shift toward large-scale drawings as, like, self-contained works with deliberate corrections left visible.
It sounds like he wasn't afraid to experiment, to push boundaries and try new things.
He definitely wasn't. And then in the 1960s, his work blended the styles of artists like Hugo van der Goes and Goya, often using applied paper to create texture and depth.
So he was drawing inspiration from different artistic traditions and incorporating them into his own unique style.
Right. And in the 1980s, he developed this really innovative style called Mouches Volantes with Nancy Giordano. It involved optical illusions and viewer participation. It sounds really cool.
Optical illusions and viewer participation. That sounds really innovative. It's like he wanted to blur the lines between the artwork and the observer to create a more interactive experience.
Yeah. And then he had later series like Big Al. It's really a testament to his creative range and his constant evolution as an artist.
It's clear that he never stopped exploring, never stopped pushing himself creatively.
Exactly. And throughout all of this, there's this consistent thread of hidden meanings and secrets woven into his art, inviting the viewer to look deeper, to use their imagination, and try to decipher the puzzle.
That adds another layer of intrigue, doesn't it? It's like he's creating these visual riddles that reward those who are willing to put in the effort to solve them.
It does. Okay, now let's focus on that etching for Nancy. It's described as a very detailed drawing of a thistle against a stark background, rendered with delicate lines.
Okay, so a very simple composition. A single subject, a lot of empty space.
Right. And the meditation on this etching connects it to Zen philosophy, emphasizing the beauty and simplicity found in everyday natural forms.
I see. So the focus is on appreciating the essence of this humble thistle without any distractions or embellishments.
Exactly. And that empty background, it's seen as reflecting the Zen concept of mu, which encourages a letting go of distractions and preconceptions to experience the thistle directly without any mental filters.
Ah, mu. It's about emptying the mind to perceive things as they truly are, without our usual biases or interpretations.
Right. And there's a potential connection drawn to I Ching hexagram 48, the well, which symbolizes nourishment, deeper wisdom, and the branching lines of the thistle as pathways to truth and growth.
Well, a symbol of hidden depths and sustenance. It's an interesting parallel to draw with the thistle, suggesting that even in this seemingly simple plant, there's a wealth of wisdom and potential waiting to be discovered.
Right. And the branching lines of the thistle, they're seen as representing the different paths we can take in our search for understanding, all drawing from a central source of nourishment.
It's a beautiful metaphor for how knowledge and growth emerge from a solid foundation.
It is. And the meditation on For Nancy really emphasizes the power of subtraction in art, like how removing unnecessary elements can actually amplify the significance of what remains.
It's a reminder that sometimes less is more, that by stripping away the distractions, we can see the essence of things more clearly.
Exactly. And it encourages us to apply this principle to our own lives, to think about what we can let go of, what noise we can eliminate, to create more space for what truly matters.
It's a powerful invitation to simplify our lives and focus on the essential.
It is. Now, let's touch on those book reviews of Zen and the Art of Enlightenment. The premise of the book is really interesting. It's presented as art serving as questions and philosophy offering incomplete answers.
Okay, so it's a dialogue between art and philosophy, exploring the big questions of life, but without necessarily providing any definitive answers.
Exactly. And it sounds like the book itself is very much in line with Camblin's style. It embraces ambiguity and encourages the reader to contemplate, to come to their own conclusions.
That's in keeping with his approach to art, isn't it? He seems to be more interested in sparking curiosity and provoking thought than in providing straightforward answers.
Right. And within the book, there are all these everyday objects, like a figure four trap, a tattooed arm, a frog, that are transformed into these potent symbols.
Interesting. So he's taking the mundane and imbuing it with deeper meaning. It's a reminder that even the most ordinary things can hold profound significance if we look at them with fresh eyes.
Exactly. And the book explores themes of illusion, the traps we encounter in life, both external and self-created, and the search for stillness. But instead of giving concrete answers, it offers riddles and prompts for the reader to ponder.
It sounds like a book that's meant to be experienced, not just read. Like it's designed to engage the reader on a deeper level, to challenge their assumptions and spark their own insights.
Yeah. The foreword of the book connects Camblin's work to the evolution of art movements and their resonance with Zen and the I Ching, highlighting themes of intuition, interconnectedness, and the cyclical nature of experience.
Ah, So it places his work within a broader philosophical and artistic context. It suggests that his art isn't just about aesthetics, but also about exploring deeper truths about the human condition.
Right, and the art in the book is described as a portal to heightened awareness, encouraging self-examination and prompting the emergence of archetypal themes.
So it's not just about appreciating the art itself, but about using it as a tool for personal and spiritual growth. It's like he's offering a path to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world.